Chances are, if you're watching this video, your account information has been hacked. So hacked means that somebody now can get into a certain account. So let's say that username and password is like this key. And now they have the key to get into your certain account. And if it's something like Home Depot or Lowe's, you don't really think that it's going to be a big deal, right? But it really is a big deal. This is why. This key usually is the same one that opens your Lowe's, Home Depot, Target account, something you don't really care about, but also it happens to be the same key that opens your bank account. It happens to be the same key that gets you into your IRA or your credit cards, and it happens to be the same key that gets into your mailbox, your email account. Now, the email account is the one that actually makes the biggest difference. Whenever there's a transfer from your bank account, you'll get a notification in your email account. So if the criminal has access to this, they just erase the information. We've had some clients with some pretty scary stories about this email situation. One of our clients called me and said that someone's into her account, and I said, okay, they're probably not in your account. She goes, no, they were reading all my emails and contacting my clients. This criminal actually called a property manager that she had renting her property up in Vail and told that person, hey, I'm coming up to Vail tomorrow. Can you leave a spare key for my house underneath the mat so I can get in it because I forgot my key? Luckily, she had a really good realtor that called her back and confirmed this because somebody had been reading through all of her information. But another instance is one of our clients had somebody read through all of his stuff and find the name of his stockbroker with his IRA. Contacted the stockbroker through email and said, hey, I'm in California and I have a friend who needs a little bit of money, so I need to lend her $1,000. Can you send me a check in California made out for $1,000? The stockbroker says, sure, how have you been? Has a little chit-chatting back and forth, but sends him a check for $1,000. Because that worked so well, the criminal will not stop and did it again. Except this time he says, you know, my friend in California, she is not doing well. And if you could send a check for $37,000, we would really appreciate it. Go ahead and send it to that last P.O. box, just like the one you did before. Stockbroker says, sure, and sends the P.O. box $37,000. This obviously was not true, and the stockbroker is completely liable for all this. He should have checked the mother's maiden name, social security number, anything, than just saying, sure, let me send you the money. But this client was stuck with a lot of financial issues for months trying to clear this thing up. And that's what you can run into if somebody gets your password and your name for an account, because it could be the same as another account. What you need to do is always constantly change those passwords. We're suggesting at least once a year. When you hear about something in the news, that's just the ones you've heard about. Those aren't the ones that are happening all the time that you don't hear about, okay? So if you constantly change your password at least once a year, and maybe just change a little bit, change the end or something like that, but make it a different password so nobody can get in there. There's a lot of different ways you can keep track of those passwords with a password management program like OnePass or LastPass, and we're going to talk about those. In fact, come over here and take a look at my computer, and I'll walk you through it.
Okay. We're going to start out with some basic password guidelines. Now, when I started with computers 40 years ago, we didn't use passwords, and then when the internet came around, we had to start getting passwords, right? And we had one of them basically to log on to the internet, and we had basically just that one password, and everybody was happy. But nowadays, with all the different accounts that you should have multiple passwords, not just one, so that if one of them is compromised, you don't have to change all of them on every account. So you want to pick a password that's at least 8 characters long. When I remember when I was first with computers, it didn't even have a limit on the passwords. I had one password that was 3 letters long, which was a word in the dictionary, which was horrible, but that was no big deal back then. So you want to make it at least 8 characters long, and you want to include at least 2 numbers in there. Not every website requires this, but most of them are starting to do this, so I think you should start doing that as well. You need to have at least 1 capital letter. I would usually capitalize the first letter, but it's up to you. And many of them are requiring a symbol. Okay, so a hashtag, exclamation point, @sign, something like that. Put that into your password because those are hard for people to crack those. Also, I really suggest changing it for every website. Now, that's pretty impossible to do for every single one, but I have a way that I'll tell you about in a minute to make it so you have 26 different passwords for all your websites. Now, this is some of the most common passwords in the world. These are 14 of them that I picked off of a list, and I'm surprised at how many of these I'll see in our office all the time. Somebody comes in with these as their passwords. Please do not keep these passwords if they are yours. These can be cracked in less than 1 second because they're so common. Even if it's a capital P for password, we had a big client that had a capital P and he thought that was sufficient to keep his passwords safe, but capital P for password is not safe. So make sure do not keep some of these common passwords like that. Now, most importantly, you want to protect your bank because the bank is where all your money is. And you can easily transfer stuff from one bank account to another. You go in there, you can say a wire transfer, you could add an external account, like the other person's bank or Wells Fargo or something, and transfer money to somebody if they had access to your bank. So you want to protect that password. Your credit cards as well. Even your stock accounts, because that's basically like a bank account. You can go in there and you can request funds, things to be mailed to you in the mail, or close out my account and send me the balance, things like that. But all of those accounts go through your email account. That's why that is the most important passwords. A lot of people think, what are they going to get? Just look at my junk mail? No, they can change those top 3 on the screen. And because if you do a transfer between a bank account and something else, you're going to get an email notification. So when they do that, they're going to go into your email and erase that notification. And they're going to say, would you like to add an account? It'll go to your email account, and they can acknowledge it. They can add their personal account and erase the email. So you'll never know what's going on if you have your email password released. So you want to make sure to keep that email password safe. Now let's just go through some examples. Pick your password right now. So let's pretend it's this one, internet, which is not a good password because it's a word, right? Like I told you, any word that's in the dictionary can be easily cracked. So you don't want something like this. But what you're going to do is you're going to exchange some of the letters for numbers. So let's take the first letter, the letter I, and you change it to the number 1. See, so it still says your favorite word, internet, but it's got a 1 up there. Or maybe you change the E's to 3's. See, so it still looks like it says the word internet. And at the end, I would add a capital letter of the website that you're on. So let's say you're on eBay. You put a capital E for eBay like that. And let's say you're on Comcast or CenturyLink or Chase Bank. You put a capital C for the institution. And now a lot of them require a symbol, so I've been doing this, putting an exclamation point at the end, or 2 exclamation points, or 3 exclamation points if you're OCD. And you could just make that word right there. So even though you've still got your same word at the top, internet, that you're accustomed to, but you're changing it just a little bit so it can't get hacked into. Okay, now a little bit about password managers. The average person has about 25 to 50 different passwords, and I found out I have now 188 passwords in my brain. And as I get older, I'm forgetting more and more passwords, and I can't remember things, and I always got to reset them and stuff. So I started looking into password managers. Okay, that means it keeps track of all your passwords in one central location, and this is the only thing that they do. There's a lot of different options out there at a lot of different prices. I chose to get this one called LastPass. LastPass is good because it will change your passwords for you. So let's say you want to change your Facebook password. You don't have to change it in Facebook and then go tell LastPass. It'll do it the other way around. You can tell LastPass to make up a random password and tell Facebook. So it actually can go the other way. Plus, it's cheap, and I'm pretty cheap. So I kind of went with LastPass. Now, they have a free program as well, the LastPass free. So what you do is go to lastpass.com, and you can get their free program. What that does is it will search your computer for every password that your computer has saved. Those are called cookies, that sometimes you've told a website that it can save your password, so it stores it in there. This will go through and find all the passwords you've already got on your computer and categorize them in one giant repository of passwords, and then you can put them into different sections like family or work or whatever. So LastPass free is fine, but for the premium version, LastPass Premium, it is only $12 a year, and it'll sync between all your devices. That means when you put it on your computer, you get all the passwords off of there, and then you put it on your phone, and it'll put the passwords on your phone. And I have the same account on my wife's phone and my wife's computer. So for one account, $12 a year, all the passwords can be seen with all the computers around the house. So I chose to get the LastPass Premium, but you can always start with the LastPass free account to start with. Now let me show you how that works. There's an icon up here in the corner that says, this is the LastPass icon, which you can add to your browser. Okay, and I've got my email and password, and I remember my password, which is something you usually do not do. But in my office, I have a locked building with 2 burglar alarms and a locked office behind a locked computer. So I feel comfortable in leaving my password on the computer like this. But if you don't feel comfortable, you would just uncheck these 2 boxes. And then I'm logging in. Okay, so now I'm in the account, and this computer knows all my passwords. Well, if I were to click this little thing, I'm going to go down to My Vault, and I'll show you what that looks like. But it's got all my accounts in here, and I have them categorized into these different sections, as you can see. Let me just show you all of them here. I have a lot. So you have all these accounts, right? Dining, so even things like restaurants.com and Starbucks and Chick-fil-A and Bojo's Pizza. I have a whole bunch of email accounts in there. Entertainment, like you're going to go see a movie, you got Netflix and Pandora. All those passwords will be put in there. What's family? Things for my kids' school and scuba diving certification. Email accounts, entertainment, like Fandango and Netflix again, Redbox, all the movie theaters. Banks, so you can see some of these banks. And I have different logins for my account and my wife's account, so I keep it all in one place. What do we have here? Productivity. Let's look at some of that. Some of your backup programs, Denver Public Library, Evernote, which is a way to keep track of things, my little Fitbit exercise thing, my other backup program, Log Me In, Skype, so forth. And with the premium one, you can actually share things with other accounts. So down here we have a shared business account, and these passwords I can give to somebody else. So all I do is I hit share, and I push a button. There's a place to push a button that will share it with everybody else, or not everybody, but certain people in my office. So if they needed to get into the criminal background check, they would know my password for that, or to Consumer Reports or my Dropbox or something like that. So anyway, I have 188 different passwords which are stored in one central location, which I can get from my phone and so forth. Down here in travel, this has come really well, that if you're going to, how often do you rent a car? Well, you don't really remember your budget rental car rapid reward number, and you could just put this in there and you can find it. It has a really good thing here called Security Challenge, and I've got a score of 41%. So let's click on that and show you how poor I am doing. But it will actually go through all my passwords and tell me how good of a password do I have. So I have to type in my master password here, which I think I remember. See, 188 sites. And it's going to show me that I have a weak, duplicate passwords. So I've got the same password for more than one place. I've got passwords which are known to have been hacked with some kind of company like Amazon. So it doesn't know, but I've already changed all these passwords. It's got weak passwords, which are shorter, or this is somehow a password with no password in there, so that's a mistake. These are old ones that I haven't used for years, but these accounts are still around. So let's say you haven't been using your entertainment coupon book for years, but that could still have your password from 10 years ago that's out there. So you want to cancel that account, or at least, at minimum, change that password. And so forth. So this one actually gives you an update on whether your passwords are good or not. So LastPass is a great way to keep track of information if you'd like to do that. If you have any more questions, just give us a call.